Alright, make sure nothing's broken, make sure nobody dropped out of that epic load. Turn the music back on. We are back in the Acer Team Story Cup. And I've been waiting for the longest time to use this reference, and it's gonna be so bad. So guys, if you don't want to hear some cringe, cover your ears. But spawning in the top right corner of the map, playing for Mouse Sports, it is gonna be the Blue Zerg player, Vortix. And his name is Inigo Montoya. And you have killed my brother. Prepare to die. Is what he says to the player in the lower left. High five to anyone who gets that reference, by the way. The barcode that you can scan at Walmart, and it will read as Sting. Playing for Western Wolves, finally putting them on the board. Scores we can see right now 3-1, a little bit in the favor of Mouse Sports. And Vortix is another really strong player to pop out early on. Lucifron, of course, even though he's gone, even though he's out, a pretty quick 3-0 was his initial lead. Has certainly put some points on the board for his team. He certainly should not be ashamed about his performance today. And let's not forget, too, if you guys are unaware. Oops, sorry, one sec. Had to close that. If you guys are unaware, the Acer Team Story Cup does have a resurrection rule. So if you're on match point, let's say this gets completely topsy-turvy and it ends up being 4-3 in the favor of Western Wolves. Upon match point, Mouse Sports can bring Lucifron back into the fray. So he may be your favorite Terran, but he might not be gone yet for today. We'll see how this goes. This series gets turned around. Let's not forget as well, Mouse Sports has also put Western Wolves very close to match point. If Sting loses this game, they're going to have to think really darn hard about who they send out as their 5th and final player. They can bring back anyone that's played today. So San, Starnan, Daisy. I mean, there's still the potential of Czech. Lots of good players still on the roster of Western Wolves. So even if Vortix wins this out, I would never count them out just yet. But Drone is going to be incredibly irritating. Terran problems. It's not about the drop mechanics, guys. It's not about the balance of Stimpack versus Mutalisks or Widow Mines. It's about buffing Terran building. Please, give SCVs like a protective bubble. This guy is so close to dying. Oh my god. Oh my god. So the intense are going on the Rosie. Who's going to die first? Of course, the drone's going to regenerate health. Now has double the health of the SCV, so can take a fight in that very awkward regard. But Sting... This is... Okay, this seems silly, and I'm kind of giggling about this like it's a big joke, but he's actually buying a lot of time. This command center is constantly being canceled at the building, even if it's for 1 second at a time, just to deal with the drone. So, a small investment, but it's nothing unlike the difference of pylon blocking. You know, you never let the pylon finish against a Zerg player anymore, but it buys you like 10 seconds. Kind of what Vortix has accomplished here on the other side of the field. This poor SCV. It's just probably got like PTSD. It's like, guys, you wouldn't believe the things I've seen. I was just out building, right? It's supposed to be safe. An easy job, they tells me. But I do see some of you that's got the Princess Bride reference. I'm very proud of you guys. You are my favorite viewers today. But Vortix coming up with some lings. There's a marine up, so won't get too much done. But we may see first blood, and we will.
First blood.
Marines claim it. Vortix, you know, this is TVZ. It's expected to see this sort of Mutalisk Baneling composition against Biomine. It's kind of the go-to for most players. But lately, at least from most Koreans, and especially Hyun, we've seen Zerg players starting to utilize this Roach Baneling composition and kind of skipping Mutalisks until the late game. So instead of rushing them out early, getting them more early on. And it's really powerful, especially if you take that third base early for production, as Vortix currently is. With the 2 gases, it's within the realm of possibility he may go for a push somewhat similar to that. With a Roach Horn coming down, maybe so. We'll have to see. It could just very well be Roaches for a wall off, expecting Hellions to come in. Of course, you know, 2 Evolution Chambers, 1 Roach Warren. It's the very common wall off for this, but we'll see if the Baneling Nest comes down. If he goes for an early push like that, it can be very devastating, quite frankly, incredibly difficult to hold, even if you've got a wall up, and even if you're repairing it like a madman. But the Hellions finally making their presence on the field. Sting going to start moving out and poke around. But let's not forget, guys, Lucifron is the brother of Vortix. By proximity, Vortix has a good chunk of Terran within him. So he's probably had a lot of good practice and one of the best people in the world to discuss theory with. So coming up against Sting, Sting might be a really scary player, but I don't know, man. Lucifron has showed his his strength today, and if that's the kind of guy that Vortix has spent his life training with, I don't know. I think he'll be pretty okay for this matchup. Unless it had a reverse effect on him, and Lucifron has just spanked him so hard in practice matches lately that Vortix is completely scared of Terran and doesn't even want to fight him. Crawled up in a ball, too scared to fight. No, that's not the case at all. But okay, no Baneling Nest did come down, and a layer is going to be coming out next. So the roaches we see right now, I assumed initially would just be to deal with Hellions, but he is investing in the ranged missile tank. So we're going to see Hydralisk come up as a follow-up to this. Now, whether you're DRG, Jaedong, or freaking Destiny, we've seen Hydralisk make a large appearance, a sort of surge recently, but it's nothing that's been a dedicated force, so to speak. No one's really been able to make pure Hydralisk work, for example, and of course the timings and the compositions are very expensive, very difficult to pull off. But the nice thing about going for ranged upgrades, Roaches and Hydras, they're alright. They're not bad. They're pretty darn good, in fact. But you can always get a couple Swarm Hosts to bolster them, to kind of act as that supporting role, but you never want to invest too much. If your opponent's playing Bio, Swarm Hosts very rarely play into your benefit. Yes, they'll destroy a lot of what's on the ground, but they're very immobile, and getting medevacs around them, dropping the main, a bit of a non-issue. But of course, with the small amount of roaches currently present on creep, there's no way Sting wants to push into this. If he does, Vortix will of course just annihilate him. Couple of scans going down to pick off creep tumors though. Ooh, 2 HP hype. Creep tumor lives through that scan. A veteran of this assault. Man, creep tumors have a lot of health. Kind of surprised I didn't one-shot it with a full volley from all those Hellions, but alright, whatever. Pneumatized Carapace coming up, going to allow Vortix, of course, to get a lot of scouting off. If you guys have not seen a speedy Overseer, you don't know what you're missing out on. It's ridiculous what they get with the Pneumatized Carapace. But continuing with upgrades right now, we do see him investing Galil Reconstitution. So this is not just an early game investment to deal with Hellions. I mean, that's kind of obvious with the ranged upgrades, but now even more obvious is he solidifies it by going for that Roach speed. Now, the problem for Roaches is, of course, they don't really hold up well versus Bio. Stim, I mean, Roaches hit hard, right? Like, they pack a punch, but the problem is they attack very slow. And we have a Spire coming down, so... what? I'm at a loss for words about this because, okay, both of what he's building right now are very gassive-intensive units. Gassive, is that a word? It is now. Making up words with Rifkin on Base Train TV. Welcome to the Acer Team Story Cup. But anyways, they're very gas-intensive units, both of them. So whether he wants to invest in Banelings or Mutalisks, he's not really going to be able to afford both. And if he tries to invest in both, it might not work out in the end. However, there's a very large chance this Spire is not for the typical Mutalisk cloud that you see, but instead to get like probably 4 or 5 to start picking off medevacs. I don't know if that'll be the case. He might just overinvest in it. He's actually swapping to melee upgrades. So, well, we've got a lot of Roaches on early, and he invested +1 weapons into them. It looks like he is going to swap over to play the mid-game as Baneling, Mutalisk, and Zergling. So, alright. Opening with an awkward style, perhaps expecting mech, but not getting it. I have no idea. Just a huge abundance of Roaches, and a beautiful pickup out of Sting. Not taking a single hit on these Marines. Oh, God. Can he get any drops off? Probably not. I mean, the Queens are going to pick off the medevac and chip away at him. The Roaches, of course, going to respond to this quite nicely. A large Bioforce beats out Roaches, but a small Bioforce, even if they stim, don't exactly contend well with Roaches, as we see. So rest in peace, poor Marines. Any workers killed there? No workers killed so far this game, despite that epic early game battle with the jukes around the command center, but Roaches are going to try and find a place to engage in the middle of the map. Again, not a huge Marauder count, but a lot of Widowmines to pepper those hits. Widowmines, of course, don't one-shot Roaches, but that splash damage is still pretty magnificent. Actually, it's kind of funny. The composition of Sting, I don't think is actually going to work out too well for him initially here. Roaches, of course, are going to provide a lot of initial soaking for these Banelings. That was cool. Just kind of hop them into the rolling speed. They're going to soak the Widowmine hits. They're going to march in first. They're dead supply. Vortix doesn't want these. He doesn't care for these. If they do damage, fantastic. And if they don't, all they need to do is soak hits for the Banelings. But oh no, Vortix! Was that a manual detonation, or was there a Baneling or a Widowmine that we did not see? Either way, a lot of the Banelings get absolutely wasted. And the Roaches are going to try pushing in here, but there's so many Marauders. And these medevacs keeping all these units alive, that this initial push will be shut down outright. And Vortix, that, I wish I had like an instant replay I could go back to. That looked to me like he detonated them manually, but I don't know, it could have easily been one Widowmine that went unseen. I, for example, did not see it. I thought the roaches had soaked all the front lines and all the back lines, but really unfortunate for Vortix. He lost over half of his banelings there, which is why that engagement went so sour. If he didn't, he could have easily rolled in and cleaned up the Marines. And without the Marines, just Marauders, it's such a low count versus that huge roach swarm. But as we see evidenced by what happened, the results speak for themselves, and that battle went so heavily in the favor of Sting. Now Vortix in a bit of a tough spot. He doesn't have a lot available. Banelings are morphing in, but he doesn't have a lot. There's a handful of roaches, there's a couple of mutalisks, and lings are about to come out, but this is not the situation he wants to be in. 2-2 should be finished by now if he was dedicating to this from the start, but Vortix is going to be behind in upgrades, and it's going to cost him a little bit. But looks like he will snipe off some units in the middle of the map. Push Sting back a tad. What is happening here? Do you guys see this? What is... What? What? What is happening? Missile turrets with infinite range? What the... What? So, for the record, guys, these turrets have range 500. Are we on a troll version of the map? I think we're on a troll version of the map, which might force a regame, which could really go well for Vortix. Turrets, 500 range. We have to remake.
Game resumed.
Look at turret.
Game
Select it. It has 500 range. How did the admins not see this? It's not just one turret, it's all the turrets. We're on a broken version of the map, guys. This has happened not once, not twice, but like 5 times before in the Acer Team Story Cup. And this is not a version of the map. This is... It's oh, what? This is ladder edition. Did they make the wrong version? I mean, TE is like the one that's trolly, right? Because Star Station TE. If you guys, okay, so for those who haven't seen it in the past, by the way, Star Station, one of the bugs on that map was when the Oracles activated their abilities, they would self-detonate. When when you would create scans, you would create invisible Marines and ghosts. There are trolley versions of the maps out there, and they have been accidentally used before in the past. But this is... I'm sorry. I should be more professional about this. I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. Okay, so... yeah. Rehost has to happen. So that game doesn't count for nil. Really unfortunate, because that's like 16 minutes of the game. That's build orders revealed. That's mistakes having been made.